Hello, welcome to this seventh Eclipse IoT Hangout. Sorry for, for the people who are actually following what we do, and you are more and more. Last time we had a problem and we had to cancel, but hopefully we're now back on track for having these regular Hangouts. So as always, you can post questions using the Q&A, and today we're going to talk about standards for M2M and IoT. With Madi, but briefly tell us
Hello, Benjamin.
who you are and what you do with the Eclipse OM2M.
Yeah. So my name is Madi Benalaya. I'm an engineer and a PhD student on the last CNRS laboratory in Toulouse, France. Yeah, working mainly on machine-to-machine interoperability. So this is my last year, and of course I'm now writing my PhD, doing some codes and managing a small team of developers to keep working on the OM2M project. And I noticed some lag. I don't know if you can hear me well.
Yes, I do hear you well. There is a huge lag. I don't know on which end. So what is Eclipse OM2M? I know that you guys are implementing the Etsy M2M standard. What is this standard and what is it about?
Okay, so before talking of the standards, I want to highlight the problematic that we are trying to solve. It's clear for everyone that M2M is now used everywhere, in every domain, and the market is growing at an impressive speed, which is really promising for the future of M2M. However, things evolved so quickly, so crazy in all directions that M2M is now suffering from a high fragmentation of the M2M market, which naturally increases the research and development cost in each specific domain. So to reduce the standardization gap which exists between M2M domains, Etsy and OneM2M defined a standard for a horizontal architecture to enable M2M interoperability. The proposed architecture is based on REST. It's extensible and can easily be mapped to existing protocols and technologies. And OM2M project propose an open source implementation of this standard.
Okay, so and actually the name OM2M, it makes me think of OneM2M. Is it on purpose? There is also another standard that's called OneM2M, right? So what's the difference between Etsy M2M and OneM2M?
Yeah. For us, OM2M, the O refer to open, to say open M2M. The problem is that open M2M is a trademark and this name is already taken. So we chose the short name as OM2M, and it fits well with the next standard, which is OneM2M, because we want the current implementation to be the basis of the OneM2M standard.
Okay, so and so what is the OneM2M standard? It's about standard interfaces for devices, both on the edge of the network, on the embedded side, and also on the server? What are the kind of APIs that you would find in such a standard?
Okay, so the specification of OneM2M will be published in August 2014, and I participated in meetings of OneM2M, and I can say that OneM2M is taken 80% taken from the Etsy standards. So they propose the same architecture, and the standard propose the notion of service capability layer that can be deployed on the server side, on the gateway, and on the device, on smartphones, and so on. And in such a way, we can provide a a horizontal service platform for M2M interoperability. Okay, so no need to do ad hoc communication between applications. So the service layer will make secure and authenticated secure and generic communications between machines. And of course, it proposes several, let's say, primitive procedure for to discover resources, to authenticate machines, to manage groups, to handle access rights, to handle synchronous and asynchronous communications, and so on.
Okay. And so you guys, with Eclipse OM2M, you are providing an implementation of HCM2M, and I guess maybe later it's going to be a 1M2M implementation as well. So can you tell us a bit more about what is the OM2M project? How could people use it, download it, develop with it? What's yeah? Can you explain us that?
Yeah. So just few words about how the idea of M2M starts. Okay. So we started working on the idea of the OM2M project last year with a team of 8 developers. So as I said, the M2M project is an open source implementation of the ETSI M2M standard. And the main goal is to provide a standardized platform for M2M interoperability, focusing on the service layer. But here we should be careful, because there is 2 kinds of challenges to solve. There is the communication interoperability and the data interoperability. First, you should be able to talk in a seamless way with other devices using different technologies. Then you should be able to understand what is being said. So OM2M provides a standardized communication interface between applications and devices, and also provide a unified data model describing resources and exchanged data. And recently we published the OM2M website. It's online now, and I can show you if I'll share my screen. So can you see the OM2M website?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so you can go on eclipse.org/OM2M. You will see the new website of OM2M, and here you'll find all required information related to mailing list, forum, where to find the source code, bug tracker, and the metadata related to the project. Brief descriptions of OM2M features, and the most important things is those buttons. So you can download the source code, configure the platform, and start it. And you can use the platform using an Ajax interface to simplify development of M2M application and services, and also provided the REST API, a detailed one, to be able to use OM2M directly from this wiki, and no need to go check the specification documents and so on. So
nice.
If you let's click on download. So it's an Eclipse project.
It's based on Java, right? It's a Java-based environment?
Yeah. OM2M is developed using Java, and it uses OSGI Equinox runtime, and is built as an Eclipse product. So it's a kind of Eclipse product, but without the IDEO interface. Okay, so you can benefits from all the advantages of Eclipse product, and deploy new plugins, built it using Tycho and Maven, and it's really easy to extend OM2M with your own services and plugins.
All right. So you mentioned the fact that one of the challenges of M2M is communication interoperability. What are the communication protocols that you can use when you use OM2M?
Yeah, of course. OM2M follows RESTful architectures, and HTTP is widely used to handle this kind of resource architectures. So HTTP protocol is implemented. So we provide the plugins to do the binding with HTTP, and we are finalizing now the COPE binding to enable COPE devices to communicate using COPE. Here we use the Californium project. We are really happy with this project, and also we are focusing on integrating useful publish-subscribe protocols such as MQTT using Pahoo and Mosquito projects. Okay, in such a way, machines using HTTP can communicate in a seamless way with machines communicating with COPE. And it works like this because the kernel or the core of OM2M is protocol independent, and then we can add like a puzzle binding to several or to different protocols to do the communications.
Okay, so and do you have any other protocols that you think you will integrate in the future?
Sorry, I did not hear well your question.
Do you have other protocols that you think of integrating in the future in addition to MQTT and CoAP?
For communication, we are also trying to integrate 6LoWPAN devices. We have a PhD student from Italy that is started working on 6LoWPAN to integrate it to OM2M.
Okay.
So we have for communications. Let's resume 6LoWPAN, COPE, MQTT. But we can also interwork with existing technology such as ZigBee or Z-Wave or KNX. And now we are working on the ZigBee in the terminology of the standards. We call it interworking proxy. So we have the ZigBee interworking proxy that we will try to publish it as soon as possible. And we also started a training on KNX protocol to handle all KNX enabled devices. And internally in LAS, we developed several interworking proxy to let's say legacy devices that we have in our laboratory, in our smart building. So they are legacy devices and proprietary technologies. So I think it's useful for us, but I think there is no need to push them on the Eclipse OM2M project because they are really coupled to some manufacturer. These are vendor-specific devices.
Yeah, and can you tell us a bit more about the smart building you just referred to? I mean, I know this because I live in Toulouse, just a few kilometers away from where you guys have your lab. But yeah, you actually have a connected building where you do lots of good cool measurements and stuff. Can you tell us a bit more about this this project?
Yeah, ODream is a promising project, but it demonstrates also the problem that we are facing in M2M, which is the highly fragmentation of M2M domain. And in the building groups several domains. Okay, there is a lot of sensors provided by several manufacturers. It means that in UDream building, we don't have a unified, let's say, interface or unified supervision and control system to handle all this. So we try to use OM2M to provide an interoperability layer and enable other researchers to use the data and send action to actuators in an easy way. And it works very well because really this kind of interoperability is required in such environments, which really full of heterogeneous sensors and small devices. So we try to provide OM2M to handle this, and the idea also behind OM2M is to enable all the researchers to concentrate their work in one platform to improve the quality of services, to do let's say self-management, advanced self-management process, and so on. So this is another goal of OM2M related to DREAM and to research.
Yes, so basically because of all these standard APIs, you have a common way for the researchers to consume the data and do things like, I guess, depending on the temperature of the building, regulate the lighting or the heating or stuff like that. Even though the sensors are Zigbee or Bluetooth or whatever, you use OM2M and the ETSI standard interfaces to enable development for people who actually know about the meaning of the data, right?
Exactly. This is true, yeah.
Okay, and so you mentioned system and control. Have you guys had an opportunity to use or to investigate a possible relationship with Eclipse SCADA?
Yeah, we had several discussions in the mailing list of Eclipse SCADA, and they gave us good documentation, and we are trying to integrate this interface to monitor and control, because we like it. It's a kind of it looks like industrial interface to monitor the system and control it. So it's a good opportunity for us to collaborate with the SCADA guys and try to use their platform. So regarding other Eclipse projects, we are using Equinox as OSGI runtime. As I said, we are working with Californium, with Mosquito and Paho, and we'll try to check and test the concierge, which providing a lightweight or a small footprint OSGI runtimes, which I think is very useful in Internet of Things environment.
Okay, well, that's already quite a lot of projects that you are using. We have, I think, 13 or 14 projects, and you mentioned 5 or 6, so that's awesome. Yeah, maybe one last question. Many people are talking about security for the Internet of Things, and well, obviously it's important, but how is security addressed by the ETSI M2M standard and by, of course, by Eclipse OM2M?
Yes, of course, security is a really important issue, and in OM2M we developed the security based on the TLS TSCAP, TLS pre-shared key protocol. The problem is that we used non-open source implementations, so it's provided for free for researchers, but we can't push it on Eclipse. So we try to check if there is other libraries compliant with the IP of Eclipse. So in general, TLS is a really good option for securing M2M communication. But usually TLS uses public key certificates for authentication, which is not efficient in constrained environments with limited CPU power. TLS pre-shared key uses symmetric keys shared beforehand to establish TLS connections. So no need anymore for huge public key operations. And this is why we prefer to integrate TLS PSK. So TLS can be used between the server and the gateway, but to secure channel between your small device and the gateway, it's better to use symmetric authentications. So for me, TLS PSK is a good way to do security in IoT, especially in their RFC of the TLS PSK. They mentioned that this specification is designed for Internet of Things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. True. Yeah. Before we wrap up, so how, if I want to use OM2M, what do? I go to om2m.org and I click the download button as you showed earlier,
Yeah.
and that would be, I will get all the instructions for actually using it myself.
Yes, that's it. You click on download. So you clone the Git project. If I share my screen briefly, so download here. So this is the Eclipse repository. So I can show you. Okay, so this is our Git repository. We can see all the plugins, the core feature, the gateway, the NSL, and so on. Here I have, I should notice that there is an additional step that we have to do till the IP process finish it with Eclipse. So we choose to use parallel IP. It means that, okay, we provide the source code, but you still need to add manually 3 libraries which are under review by Eclipse. I hope that.
But so basically, I mean, I think the wiki page seems to be very complete.
Yeah.
So I guess people should just follow this, and if they have questions, you have a mailing list, and they can ask questions, right?
I advise everyone to use the mailing list. We have a very active team that will be really happy to answer your questions. So you can use it with Maven, build the projects, and start it. And here, for example, I just want to point one thing that in the wiki we provided the detailed API specifications for all resources with examples. For example, for the application resource, you can see really a concrete example how to create an application with the request, example, and the response. And we did this for all resources. So, as I said, no need to read the specification documents. Everything can be done using the wiki. And you can use the mailing list if you have any questions. Great.
Well, thanks for answering my question. So what we do usually at the end of the Hangouts is that we share some of the news in the IoT community. So I have a couple links that I want to show. So we'll share my screen as well. And of course, Maddie, if you want to comment, you're welcome. So just a couple things that happened in the IoT community recently. Well, I actually tweeted about it yesterday, but it's really crazy to see that the Raspberry Pi. So you know that little board, $40-ish boards built by the Raspberry Pi Foundation and Marvel. They sold 3 million units. I think last month they crossed the threshold of 3 million units. It's really awesome, especially I mean, when you know that, of course, it's used by people to do media centers and the like, but also by many makers and tinkerers who use the Raspberry Pi and IoT gateway. They run Eclipse Smart Home, they run Cura, they run other kind of IoT-related projects. So it's really great to see that there is a strong momentum for open, Raspberry Pi is not exactly the most open hardware platform, but it's kind of an open hardware platform. And yeah, it's similar with the BeagleBone, the Intel Galileo. They are all very, very popular these days. Yeah, and two upcoming events that I wanted to share with you. We are organizing a webinar with Element 14. If you don't know Element 14, it's a huge community of makers and people who do crazy things with electronics. We are organizing an Eclipse Smart Home webinar, so it's going to be on July the 8th at 4 p.m. Paris time. With Kite Crusher and Thomas from the Eclipse Smart Home project. So register to make sure you don't miss the date. It's going to be yeah, I think a very complete introduction to Eclipse Smart Home. And if you actually read the description of the webinar, you will see that it also there is a mention of a nice contest that is organized by Eclipse Foundation, Eclipse Smart Home, and Element 14. So yeah, I think you may want to tune in and yeah, just learn more about this contest that we are cooking. Other upcoming event is the Eclipse conference next week in Toulouse. Lots of IoT related talk. There is even a conference on Tuesday. I think today is the last day for you to register to the conference. So if you are based in Europe, I guess you still have time to make up your mind and decide to attend the Eclipse conference. And since the last Eclipse Hangout, there's been a lot of heat on the internet about MQTT. There was a blog post by someone working on Microsoft Azure, very, very lengthy blog post commenting on some of the disadvantages of MQTT, some of the issues with the current spec. And yeah, there's been lots of discussion on the internet. If you want to read the response from one of the guys who is actively working on the MQTT specification, it was posted actually yesterday. So I will post all the links on the Google event page. But yeah, Peter Niblatt basically answered most of the critics on the MQTT protocol. So you may want to have a look. So I think that's it. That's what I had to share. Probably many other links in 2 weeks. Hopefully we will do have another hangout in 2 weeks time. It's going to be with the people at DC Square. DC Square is is a company who recently joined the Eclipse IoT working group. They work on HiveMQ. HiveMQ is an MQTT broker, and so yeah, we're happy to have them in 2 weeks. And yeah, in the meantime, feel free to. Oh, we actually have a comment for you, question/comment for you, Maddie, in the Q&A section. It's Richard who says that he really liked that you guys have example code for all your APIs, and I agree. That's really great. You guys have a great documentation. So I hope many people after this webinar will do just what we described. Download the code, try it, and that's it. Thanks again, Maddie. My internet connection made it to the end. I was using my 4G tethering connection. So thank you. Thanks all for joining. If you want to participate to another session, have ideas of technology, another hangout, feel free to